Last year, we saw a number of nations elect new leadership and adopt policies hostile to communities impacted by HIV. Many significantly reduced their commitment to HIV funding and overseas development assistance. In fact, last year, 8 countries announced $17.2 billion in cuts to overseas development assistance. The Netherlands alone is planning to cut its aid budget by €8 billion over the next 4 years. Then, in just the past week, the new United States administration withdrew from the World Health Organization, issued a comprehensive stop work order halting all existing foreign assistance programs, including PEPFAR, and paused new aid commitments for at least 90 days, reinstated the Mexico City policy, terminated all diversity and inclusion activities and staff within the US government, deported hundreds of immigrants and suspended virtually all refugee and asylum programs, and eliminated recognition of transgender and non-binary identities at the federal level. Can I ask for a show of hands? How many of you or your grantees have already been impacted by these developments? Look around. This is the context of this year's summit. Now, how many of you are anxious or nervous about what this means for your organizations, your grantees, your friends, family, staff, colleagues, the future of the HIV response? I know I am. We are facing both a massive loss of resources for HIV prevention and treatment at the same time that the communities most impacted by HIV are under attack. These are not isolated policy shifts. They are deliberate moves to undermine the progress we have fought so hard to achieve. And yes, it is frightening. Today, public funding constitutes about 98% of the global HIV response, a lifeline for countless individuals and organizations. Yet, as recent elections usher in more conservative leadership across key donor nations, we are seeing a rollback of the commitments that have been vital to our progress. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm scared. I'm really nervous about what the stop work order, as well as political battles ahead for PEPFAR and Global Fund replenishment, are going to mean for people living with HIV, people who may not have access to meds this week, for organizations that can't wait for 3 months to pay their bills. I am deeply afraid that our members and community-led groups could face investigations or even reprisals from their governments, and that the fear of this could negatively impact resources to the field. And on a personal level, as a transgender man born in the United States, I am terrified that my gender is no longer recognized by my government, that my current passport might not be renewed, but instead replaced by one with a female gender marker and my birth name. I really don't know how to safely navigate the world or do my work as Scarlett Kathleen Davis again, a name and identity that I walked away from 27 years ago. And yes, I was named after Scarlett O'Hara. There's a lot to be afraid of right now. Fear is a normal response in this moment, and it's okay to feel it. Talk about it. Be in it. Know that you are not alone. You are part of a community. And if, like many people, and myself for a lot of last week when we were preparing this and receiving news of new developments, you find yourself frozen in a trauma response, remember to breathe. Focus on the moment. Feel the ground under your feet. Right here, right now, you are safe. Feel your fear, but don't let it paralyze you. Fear will not help us except to the extent that it motivates us to act. Fear will not keep organizations' doors open. It will not get people their HIV meds. It will not end HIV as a public health crisis. As Frank Herbert wrote in Dune, I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear, and when it has gone past, there will be nothing only I will remain. The challenges that we face, they're going to require clarity, courage, and collective action. It's clear that the global HIV response is at a crossroads, an intersection shaped by shifting political landscapes, funding uncertainties, and escalating attacks on human rights. It's also, though, potentially an opportunity for philanthropy to demonstrate our power to lead boldly when other sectors fail. But to do that, we need to double down, not back down. We need to double down on investing in strong health systems, evidence-based medicine, community-led interventions. We need to double down on supporting advocacy that creates enabling political environments and safeguards against the erosion of human rights. And we need to double down to get emergency short-term response now to the groups that are going to be devastated by what's happening in the coming months. And we need to think, act, and fund strategically in the longer term to help the field adapt to a changing political and financial reality. So philanthropy has a critical role to play today. This is not the moment to retreat. It's the time to innovate, to bridge gaps, to push boundaries. And yes, many of us fear or already face political reprisals. That is real. Each donor is going to need to determine your own sense of risk exposure and tolerance and develop your strategies accordingly. There's room for many different approaches at this moment, and we're going to need a diverse and robust philanthropic ecosystem. So I urge you, as donors, even if it's scary, lean into your great privilege and access to resources and do not give up. Work within the system or work outside of it. Work in the public eye or work behind the scenes, but keep doing and funding the work. What matters now is that we show up, that we innovate, that we support the individuals and organizations on the front lines of this fight. So I urge you as we go into the next few days to assess the risks, yes, but also weigh them against the cost of inaction. To collaborate across funding portfolios, whether LGBT rights, sexual and reproductive health, gender equality, racial justice, economic justice, etc., because we have to build a united front. And above all, lead with courage. The survival of countless people, the future of a just, equitable world depend on what we all do next. So we have a lot to cover and a lot of work to do over the next couple days and beyond. I am confident we can do it together.